When Ethan left me standing alone at the wedding altar, I knew immediately. He had been reborn too. He didn't even try to hide it. He said calmly, almost resolutely, "I can't deceive myself any longer this time. I don't want to miss out on her again." In my previous life, my sister had appeared at my wedding wearing a bridal gown, trying to steal Ethan. Back then, Ethan rejected her. Heartbroken, my sister went abroad and became a war correspondent. She later died on assignment. On the very same day Ethan heard the news, he drove his car into a river and took his own life. The dash cam recorded his final moments. Only after watching that footage did I finally understand the truth, the repressed, obsessive love he had harbored for my sister all those years. Now reborn, I stood there watching Ethan walk away hand in hand with her. A cold laugh escaped my lips. Ethan didn't know this yet, but my sister had always enjoyed taking what belonged to me. The more I wanted something, the more she desired it. But the moment I stopped caring, it instantly lost its appeal to her. During the wedding ceremony, the officiant asked Ethan, "At this moment, what is the one thing you'd like to say to the bride?" Ethan took the microphone. His voice trembled with emotion as he declared loudly, "Isabella, I love you." The audience gasped. Because I was not Isabella. Isabella was my sister. At that exact moment, she was walking slowly into the venue, dressed in a wedding gown, prepared to take Ethan away. In my previous life, Ethan had rejected her, telling her he only loved me. Devastated, Isabella went abroad, became a war correspondent, and ultimately died in the field. When Ethan heard of her death, he ended his own life that same day. The dash cam captured his final words. "I'm so full of regret. Why did I marry Sophia just out of duty? Why didn't I leave with Isabella when I had the chance? Why did I let her go abroad? Now that she's dead, what reason do I have to live? I'm sorry, Isabella. I'm coming to be with you. We will never be apart again." His voice was filled with despair, regret, and agony. Every word felt like a knife plunging into my heart, again and again. The cruelest part? At that time, I was already 8 months pregnant. A week after Ethan's death, a seemingly resurrected Isabella appeared before me. "I didn't actually die," she said casually. "I just told Ethan a little lie. I didn't expect him to take it so seriously. Turns out he really loved me. Huh." She stood there like a victor, mocking me. She had always enjoyed stealing from me. Isabella was my father's illegitimate daughter. When her mother abandoned her at 10 years old, my father had no choice but to bring her into the Shin family. After moving in, she put on an innocent act for everyone. But behind the scenes, she couldn't stand seeing me have anything better than her. Our grandparents' affection, our father's love, even my mother's attention. She wanted it all. It didn't stop there. Clothes, dresses, jewelry, makeup, anything I liked, she had to have too. I always suspected she wanted to steal my boyfriend. I just never expected her to succeed. "Ethan, is it true?" Isabella asked, eyes shining with joyful disbelief, tears of happiness welling up. "I need to be brave this time," Ethan said firmly. He stepped down from the altar, leaving me alone on the stage. Gently, he wiped away Isabella's tears. So Ethan could be gentle with someone else too. I met Ethan during our first year of college. He came from a poor background. His parents had passed away, and he was raised by his elderly grandmother, who collected recyclables to support his education. I helped him out of kindness. I stayed with him during his grandmother's illness, took her to the hospital, paid her medical bills. In my previous life, Ethan pursued me actively. He told me I made him feel warmth and light again. He confessed that although he knew he wasn't worthy of chasing me, he was terrified I would one day belong to someone else. So he vowed to work hard, to give me a better life. He even swore that if he ever betrayed me, he would cut off his own legs. With my support, Ethan rose quickly. After graduation, he became a rising star in his field. He fulfilled his promise and married me at the peak of his career. But after the wedding, the passion disappeared. Now, watching the burning gaze he fixed on Isabella, I finally understood. That was the look of someone reuniting with a long-lost love. What about my sister? Isabella asked softly, glancing at me. No one noticed the triumph hidden in her eyes. I would never forget what she whispered to me before pushing me down the stairs to my death in my previous life. All I did was pretend to fall in front of Ethan. Then I accidentally let him see the bruises I made myself. He felt so sorry for me. He thought I was being abused at the Shin house. You think he kept his distance all these years because he hated me? No. It was because he was afraid he couldn't control his desire to possess me. You have no idea how hard it was for him to resist. I honestly didn't expect him to marry you, out of duty. But if I can't have him, then let him die. Neither of us will have him. Now that you know the truth, big sister, why don't you go and die too? After all, only one of us can be a true Shin. I fell from the tall staircase. Both my unborn child and I died. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returned to the day of my wedding. Ethan had been reborn too. He looked at me, his eyes completely free of hesitation or guilt. I can't keep deceiving myself this time. I don't want to miss out on her again. Without giving me a chance to speak, he grabbed Isabella's hand and walked away without looking back. Watching him rush off for love, a cold smile appeared on my face. He didn't know that Isabella only wanted what was mine. The moment I stopped caring, she would lose interest. The grand wedding ended in humiliation. Ethan abandoning me at the altar became public gossip. I was the one mocked. No one blamed Isabella, because Ethan had already pulled strings in social circles. He was a rising star now. No one dared defend him. I didn't bother clearing my name. After all, his reckoning was still to come. I focused on rebuilding my career. After getting together with Ethan, my entire life had revolved around him. I managed his company, handled his social engagements. Once his career stabilized, I willingly retreated to become a housewife. I thought he was worth it. I was blind. A month later, Ethan and Isabella returned to the Shin family. Isabella knelt on the ground, crying as if she were the victim. My parents looked helpless. They were furious about the wedding scandal, but her tearful apology softened them. When Isabella saw me, she crawled over on her knees. Big sister, punish me however you want, but please don't blame Ethan. It's all my fault. In my previous life, I had been lenient. I believed her jealousy came from insecurity. I never considered her a threat. That confidence was my biggest mistake. This time, I slapped her hard across the face. The sound echoed. She froze. Before she could react, Ethan shoved me violently and pulled her into his arms. Sophia, if you're angry, take it out on me, not Isabella. I slapped him too. When dealing with trash, mercy is pointless. My parents were stunned. They thought I had moved on. Moved on? Not a chance. There is justice in this world, I thought. It just hasn't arrived yet. Sophia, we came back to sincerely apologize, Ethan said, sounding righteous. I laughed. So if you apologize, I should forgive you? If I killed your entire family and said sorry, would that make it right? Then why do we need laws? Morals. He was speechless. Isabella stepped in. Sis, I know you love Ethan, but love can't be forced. We're genuinely in love. If I refuse, I asked calmly, will you break up? You've never been this unreasonable, she said. He doesn't love you. You should feel lucky. You were spared a tragedy. She wasn't wrong. Marrying Ethan was my tragedy, but that never gave her the right to steal him. I sneered. This is the first time I've heard someone justify betrayal so righteously. So now, I said slowly, my lips curling, being a mistress can sound so noble and pure. Isabella flushed at my words. Before she could respond, I continued calmly, almost thoughtfully. Should I be thanking you? Thanking you for publicly humiliating me by stealing Ethan on my wedding day? Thanking you for interfering in our relationship? Thanking you for helping me finally see what a scumbag Ethan really is, and how completely unworthy he is of my trust? Or should I thank you for being the mistress? She's not a mistress, Ethan snapped immediately, jumping to Isabella's defense. I know it's hard for you to accept our breakup right now, he continued, his voice tense, but I don't love you. And nothing you say will change my decision to be with Isabella. Ethan, I said, staring at him like he was an idiot, do you really think I'm that pathetic? What makes you think I still have feelings for a man who is irresponsible, unfaithful, clueless, and tainted? I looked him up and down coldly. Do I look like a trash bin to you? Sophia, what's happened to you? Ethan demanded. Do you even realize how ugly you're acting right now? He was visibly shaken by my words, anger flashing across his face. The more you behave like this, the less I could ever love you. Well then, I sneered, I guess I should be grateful for your lack of affection. Ethan was left speechless, his face flushed with frustration. He clearly never imagined I would become so sharp-tongued. Isabella quickly tried to smooth things over. Don't be angry, Ethan. Sister is just upset. I'm sure she'll forgive us eventually. Ethan took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. Sophia, he said slowly, no matter what, I'm really thankful for the support you gave me back then. To repay you, I genuinely wanted to be with you and take care of you for the rest of my life. The more he spoke, the more ridiculous it sounded. So that was his logic? Because I helped him. Because I supported him financially. Because I stood by him. He felt morally obligated to repay me with his life. As if he had been blackmailed by his own conscience. I tried, Ethan continued. But being with you just didn't make me happy. I don't want our marriage to become a burden for both of us. You deserve someone better. And now I can finally be with my true love. As he said this, he cast a tender glance at Isabella. They exchanged a sickeningly sweet smile. It was revolting. Even my parents couldn't stand it anymore. Ethan, Isabella. My father spoke sharply. You came here today to make amends for the hurt you caused Sophia. Not to flaunt your relationship. Ethan pulled out a card. Here's a bank card, he said. I calculated everything you supported me with, including my grandmother's hospital bills. It totals about $3,000. There's $300,000 on this card, 100-fold repayment. So you won't be at a loss. I stared at the card coldly. Fortunately, I had no expectations left for Ethan, so I wasn't disappointed. $300,000 was a lot of money. But did he forget? He got his job because of me, built his company because of me, established his career because of me. Forget $300,000. His current worth of $3 million was my doing too. Ethan has been more than generous to you. Isabella chimed in smugly, adding fuel to the fire. Most people would have just repaid what they borrowed, maybe with some interest. $10,000 at most. Since graduating college, you haven't worked a single day or earned a penny. You've been living off Ethan all these years. Shouldn't you be grateful? So that's what you've been telling her about me? I asked Ethan calmly. His eyes flickered. He avoided my gaze. That was answer enough. I just hope we can part on good terms, Ethan said. We'll still be family. Good terms? After he graduated and started his business, I stood by his side through everything. I drank myself into a stomach ulcer just to help him secure deals. I tolerated inappropriate advances from disgusting men in the business world. Ethan knew all of it. He once felt deeply guilty. But now Isabella could erase everything with one casual line. You never earned a penny. I took the card from his hand. I noticed the disdainful smile on Isabella's face. Ethan let out a breath of relief. Even though my family wasn't poor, $300,000 was still a significant sum. They were convinced I wouldn't refuse. I didn't disappoint them. I wish you both eternal happiness, I said calmly. Thank you for your blessing, sister, Isabella replied. There was no joy in her voice. Just like every other time she stole something from me, she expected everything to work out perfectly. Then I added casually, and a dog. A perfect match. Their faces turned green with rage. Isabella finally lost control. Sister, you took the money and you're still acting like this? Don't you think you're being hypocritical? First of all, I said, enunciating every word clearly, this money is what I'm rightfully owed. Ethan's success today exists because of me. No matter how much he gives me, I deserve it. Second, you two cheated and dragged my life through a massive scandal. I'm entitled to compensation. And lastly, I wasted 10 years of my life on a dog. Is 300,000 really that much? Isabella was speechless. Ethan stiffened, clearly humiliated. Enough, he said coldly. I don't want to argue about who's right or wrong anymore. When have you ever been right? I cut in. Fine, I continued calmly. Let's just say it's my fault. Ethan had nothing left to say. I've done everything I could, he said stiffly. If you can't forgive me, there's nothing I can do. The only thing I ask is that you don't hate Isabella. If you must hate someone, hate me. Don't worry, I replied. I won't punish myself for your mistakes. Hating you would just be a waste of my time. I didn't want to waste another second on them. Ethan would face his karma soon enough. As for Isabella, her fate wouldn't be any better. Did she really think Ethan was a good man? Without another word, I returned to my room. What mattered now was my career. I wasn't going to build someone else's future ever again. In the days that followed, I threw myself into work. Using the $3 million Ethan had given me, I started a digital media company. I signed multiple influencers and live stream hosts. I invested heavily in short-form videos and online novels. The company grew rapidly. I slept only 5 or 6 hours a night. Meals were rushed. I didn't even have time to think about Ethan or Isabella. Then one day, a former business partner of Ethan's called me. They couldn't reach him and wanted to know if I was interested in renewing the contract. That project had been one I secured for Ethan. So naturally, they came to me. We won't be renewing, I said, but I'm open to collaborating with Henry instead. I explained the situation to Henry. He immediately agreed. He admitted that his partnership with Ethan had been largely out of respect for me. He also mentioned that Ethan had been slacking off lately. Hard to reach, unreliable. Other partners were losing patience too. I didn't hesitate anymore. In the past, I hadn't gone after Ethan's clients, not out of kindness, but because it required resources. After my rebirth, I already knew which markets were worth pursuing. Now business was falling into my lap. I reached out to Ethan's former partners one by one. Most chose to leave him once their contracts expired and switched to me. Strangely, Ethan didn't seem to notice. That would have been unthinkable before. He used to be a workaholic. Even though his negotiation skills were weak, he was always responsible. But I wasn't surprised. In my rare moments of rest, I'd scroll through social media. There, Ethan and Isabella were constantly traveling, posting from all over the world. Isabella updated multiple times a day. Ethan liked and commented on every post. They turned social media into their personal stage for public affection. Time flew. 6 months passed. During Chinese New Year, they returned with gifts for my parents. Isabella even brought me one. Sis, she said sweetly, I got you this pink crystal bracelet. It's blessed to bring good fortune and love. Mom and Dad said you've been single these past 6 months. Ethan and I are really worried about you. I handed it back. I just refuse to settle, I said calmly. The cost of dealing with dogs is too high. Ethan's face darkened. I won't be staying for dinner, I announced. I have things to take care of. I couldn't stand the sight of them. As soon as I entered my room, my phone rang. It was Mason, a high school classmate who had recently returned to the country. We'd reconnected at a reunion and stayed in touch through business. Are you free tonight? He asked. Why aren't you having dinner with your family? It's New Year's. Too many relatives, I joked. Mason laughed. I can't stand marriage questions either. If you're free, let's grab dinner. Sure, I agreed. I don't have plans anyway. He said he'd be at my place in 10 minutes. I changed clothes and applied light makeup. It had been a while. When I stepped into the living room, I saw Ethan and Isabella sitting close together. And that's where the next chapter truly began. Wow, sis, Isabella said in her annoyingly sweet voice, eyes flicking over my outfit. You're all dressed up. Are you meeting your boyfriend? She said it deliberately, putting me on the spot. Ethan glanced at me too. Who I meet is none of your business, I replied flatly. We're just concerned about you, Isabella pouted, deliberately putting on a show in front of my parents. Mom, Dad, it's been so long, but sis still acts like this. I've tried so hard to be careful around her. My mother wasn't having it. When Isabella had first returned to the Shin family, my parents had felt sorry for her. They believed she shouldn't be punished for the mistakes of the previous generation. She was sweet, played the victim well, and they held nothing against her. But after she stole Ethan, my mom finally saw her for who she really was. "Careful," my mom said bluntly. "And yet you're constantly clinging to Ethan in front of Sophia. You call that being careful? Every day, you post dozens of updates online showing how in love you are with him." Isabella's face turned red. She stammered for a moment before forcing out, I thought she'd already moved on. I'll be more mindful next time." "No need," I said indifferently. "Post whatever you want. I'll just take it as entertainment." "What do you mean by that?" Isabella asked, clearly displeased. "Exactly what it sounds like," I replied coolly. "The higher you jump, the harder you fall." I didn't waste another word on her and headed out. Mason was already waiting downstairs. The moment he saw me, he got out of the car and opened the door for me like a true gentleman. As I got in, I felt it, someone watching me from above. A cold smile tugged at my lips. Looks like the real show is about to start. I came home around 10 p.m., holding a bouquet of champagne roses. Normally, Ethan and Isabella would have already left by this time, but tonight they were still there. The moment Isabella saw the roses, her expression changed. That unmistakable excitement lit up her eyes. The same look she always had when she wanted something of mine. "You're back so early, sis," she asked sweetly. "Done with your date already?" I ignored her and carefully arranged the roses into a vase, one by one. "I saw you leave with a man earlier," she continued. "Tall guy. Is he your boyfriend?" "What, you like him too?" I asked with a cold smile. "Do you really love my leftovers that much?" "I'm just concerned about you," Isabella replied quickly. "After all, Ethan and I are together now, and we're getting married soon." "Well, congratulations to you both." I finished arranging the flowers and headed back to my room. I had just changed into my pajamas when someone knocked. I opened the door to find Ethan standing there. "Do you really have a boyfriend now?" he asked. "What does that have to do with you?" "I'm worried you might get hurt," he said. "That guy, his name's Mason, right? I've heard you've been spending a lot of time with him." That wasn't surprising. After all, Ethan and I had been together for years. We shared friends. "Yep," I admitted easily. "We even had candlelight dinner tonight." "Did you know he has a girlfriend overseas?" Ethan asked sharply. "So," I replied calmly. "He's already taken and still seeing you. What does that make you?" His anger flared when he saw my indifferent expression. Before I could answer, he continued. "Sophia, what's wrong with you? Ever since we broke up, you've been acting like you don't care. Are you doing this on purpose, to make me feel guilty?" I laughed. I really couldn't help it. "What's so funny?" he demanded. "I'm laughing at how shameless you are." "Stop pretending," Ethan snapped. "I know you haven't gotten over me. If you had, why didn't you date anyone after we broke up? Why start seeing a guy with a girlfriend? You're just trying to get back at me." "So you agree," I said calmly, "that being with someone who already has a partner is shameful." I didn't want to argue anymore. It was pointless. Ethan would never doubt his own charm. He would never believe he was inferior to anyone. "That's absolutely shameful," he declared. "And what about Isabella?" I asked, smiling. He froze. "How is it different?" I pressed, genuinely amused. "Wasn't it the same when we were still together and you were sneaking around with her? When it's you, it's true love. When it's me, it's shameful. Does cheating only count if it doesn't happen at a wedding?" Ethan's face flushed. "I'm only saying this because I care about you," he insisted. "Mason is just playing around. He's leaving the country after the holidays. You really think there's a future?" "How do you know he won't stay for me?" I replied lightly. "Maybe he'll dump his girlfriend for me. If Isabella could do it, why can't I?" I said it on purpose. I knew Isabella was eavesdropping outside. Ethan didn't notice. His back was to the door. "You're just trying to prove you're more attractive than Isabella," he said confidently. "You're still hung up on the fact that she stole me." I didn't answer. I just stared at him. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he frowned. "Is there something on my face?" "There is," I nodded. "What?" "Disgust." Sophia. Ethan exploded. Since you have no shame, I continued coldly, I won't bother protecting your fragile ego anymore. Mason comes from a prestigious family. His father is a business tycoon. His mother is a university professor. Everyone around him is rich or influential. He's a graduate of a top international university. Tall, handsome, elegant. Most importantly, he doesn't carry the insecurity and arrogance that defines you. His relaxed approach to life is something you'll never achieve. I looked straight at him. And you still think I'd be hung up on you with someone like him around? Am I insane? Or did I get hit on the head? Ethan's face turned green. Don't show up in front of me again, I said slowly. It's bad for the eyes. You'd better remember what you said today, he spat. Don't regret it later. He stormed out. At the door, he glanced briefly at Isabella, but didn't stop. Isabella looked like she wanted to say something, but bit her lip and chased after him. After that, Isabella started coming home more often. She stopped traveling with Ethan and instead casually probed my parents for information about me. When she found out Mason and I were getting closer, her visits became even more frequent. On my birthday, I deliberately told my mom I'd be having dinner with Mason and wouldn't be coming home. I even mentioned the time and location. Sure enough, at 6:30 p.m., I accidentally ran into Ethan and Isabella at the restaurant. They were arm in arm. So were Mason and I. Ethan's gaze locked onto Mason standing beside me. Isabella's eyes, however, were glued to Mason, scanning him with open excitement. Wow, sis, what a coincidence. Isabella said brightly, let's dine together. Not convenient, I replied immediately, pulling Mason toward our reserved table. Throughout dinner, I could feel their eyes on us. I ignored them. Halfway through the meal, Mason surprised me. He walked to the piano and played a beautiful piece for my birthday, drawing everyone's attention. He gave me flowers, then an expensive piece of jewelry. Several women looked on enviously, including Isabella. I saw the predatory gleam in her eyes. So when Mason excused himself to use the restroom, Isabella followed him. The moment she left, Ethan rushed over. Are you serious? He sneered. Are you really planning to be Mason's mistress? Don't be so crass, I replied calmly. Mason and I are in love. You've changed, Ethan said. You're not the Sophia I used to know. Does it matter? I asked indifferently. To me, you're irrelevant. Why should I care what you think? I told you before, don't show up in front of me. You're an eyesore. I stood and walked toward the restroom. Ethan followed. We reached the hallway just in time to see Isabella leaning into Mason's arms. Thanks, Mason, she said softly. If it weren't for you, I would have fallen. She pressed herself against him deliberately. Mason gently set her upright. She immediately pretended to twist her ankle and threw herself back into his arms. It hurts so much. What's wrong? Mason asked. I think I twisted my ankle. I can't walk. Want me to take a look? But if my sister sees, she might misunderstand, Isabella said, while pressing closer. Are you afraid of being misunderstood? Mason whispered. Or are you trying to seduce me? I'm not, she protested, while leaning in even closer. Mason held her tightly. Didn't I hear you're getting married? Married, she scoffed. How could I marry Ethan? He's just a small-town nobody. I haven't broken up with him yet because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Really? Mason teased. Didn't you steal him from your sister's wedding? Isabella froze. You moved on fast. Or do you just enjoy chasing your sister's men? She hurriedly denied it. I genuinely like you. Mason lifted her chin. After all, I was just having fun with your sister. But I do appreciate honest women. It was obvious Isabella had been desperate to steal Mason away from me, because she finally admitted the truth. Yes, ever since we were kids, I've always enjoyed taking what belonged to her. Why should she get to enjoy everything the Shin family gave her while I had nothing? It's unfair. So I vowed that whatever was hers, I would take, including her man. So Isabella, I asked quietly, you're with me only because I'm your sister's boyfriend, not because you actually like me? Before she could answer, Ethan, who had been listening nearby, couldn't hold back anymore. He exploded in rage. Isabella froze. She clearly hadn't expected Ethan and me to be there. Flustered, she rushed to explain. No, it's not what you think. I was just helping my sister test Mason, to see if he was really sincere with her. That's a lie, Mason said coldly, exposing her without hesitation. Just now, you were practically throwing yourself into my arms. You were rubbing up against me like you couldn't wait to strip right there. I wasn't. Isabella cried, desperately denying it. Mason didn't bother arguing further. He turned his back on her and walked straight toward me. So, he said casually, how's the mission going, old friend? I smiled and nodded. I'll apologize to your girlfriend later for having her boyfriend sullied like this. No need, Mason replied. She absolutely despises green tea bitches and fully supports me helping you out. I'll take her out for dinner abroad someday. Deal. Mason and I walked out together. Behind us, Ethan's enraged voice echoed through the room. Isabella, I'll kill you. Do you know how much I sacrifice for you? How could you do this to me? She screamed back just as hysterically. Let go of me, you lunatic. You brought this on yourself. Falling for my tricks isn't my fault. You're just stupid. Now that everything's out in the open, I'm done with you. Let's break up. I can't even stand to look at you. I didn't bother turning around to watch the chaos unfold. It was nothing more than two rabid dogs tearing at each other. What was there to see? Still, I couldn't deny the satisfaction blooming in my chest. The sweet taste of revenge. Later, I heard their fight escalated so badly that they ended up at the police station. Both were injured, and the scene was anything but glamorous. After that, Ethan's company ran into serious trouble. He was drowning in debt, on the verge of bankruptcy. But none of that mattered to me. Ethan was nothing more than an outsider now. As for Isabella, after she repeatedly tried to seduce my boyfriends, my parents finally lost all patience. They cut ties with her completely and kicked her out of the family. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Ethan still had the nerve to come looking for me. He waited outside my office after work. It had only been a few months, but he looked drastically thinner, hollowed out, completely defeated. Of course, I knew his situation. If he couldn't secure another loan, his company would collapse. Sophia, he said hoarsely, I was wrong. I never imagined Isabella would turn out like that. I stared at him coldly, a mocking smile tugging at my lips. I was enjoying the spectacle. I was tricked by her, he continued, sounding more and more pitiful. I regret everything. I realize now you're the one I truly love. Can we get back together? I swear if I ever betray you again, I'll break my own legs. I couldn't help laughing. Didn't you say the same thing before? Then how are your legs still intact? What are you? Some kind of centipede or a crab with that many legs? Ethan flushed with humiliation. Stop acting, I said flatly. I'm not going to help you by co-signing a loan at the bank. I made it perfectly clear. Spending even one more second with him was a waste of my time. I'm not asking for help with the loan, he insisted. I really do love you. I was jealous when you were with Mason. I was just too afraid to admit it back then. I thought you'd laugh at me. And now? I asked coldly. Now I'm more scared of losing you than being laughed at. I pretended to gag. Ugh, you're revolting. Ethan's face turned deathly pale, his eyes trembling. Sophia, will you really never forgive me? When you and Mason staged everything to expose Isabella, wasn't it to show me her true colors so we could get back together? I laughed again. Let me tell you something, Ethan, I said bluntly. You're not the only one who's been reborn. His face twisted in shock. In our past life, when you committed suicide for Isabella, did you ever think about me? About the child I was carrying? His pupils shrank. What makes you think I could ever forgive you, let alone love you again? I looked at him coldly. Everything I've done, it was all for revenge. For myself. And for the child who never got to be born. Sophia, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Ethan panicked, reaching out to grab me. I dodged him. He kept mumbling, it was my fault. I was so wrong. How could I abandon you and our child for a woman like that? I was thoroughly irritated. I turned and called for security. Escort him out. Don't ever let him step foot here again. Ethan struggled as the guards restrained him, but his eyes stayed locked on me, filled with regret and despair. To me, it was utterly ridiculous. If he had known things would end like this, why make those choices in the first place? I left without looking back and never let Ethan see me again. He called, I blocked him. Unknown numbers, I refused to answer. He waited outside my office and my apartment. I had security chase him away. I even filed a police report, making sure he had no way to approach me. Just when I thought those people were finally out of my life, Isabella appeared again, shameless as ever. She demanded money, threatening to expose how our family had kicked her out if I didn't pay. She claimed she'd ruin me and destroy the Shin family's reputation. Calmly, I sent her a video, footage of her trying to seduce Mason. I had anticipated this from the moment she hit rock bottom. Isabella went mad. One day, as I was driving home from work, she recklessly sped her car toward me, clearly trying to crash into me. Suddenly, another car came out of nowhere and slammed into hers, sending Isabella's vehicle flying. Both cars were wrecked right in front of me. My heart pounded as I stepped out of my car, shaking. Isabella's car was crushed from the front. She was pinned inside, bloody, mangled, completely unrecognizable. Motionless. The other car wasn't much better. Inside it was Ethan. He was covered in blood, but his eyes were still open, as if he was using every last bit of strength just to look at me. I watched his lips move slightly, as though he was trying to say, I'm sorry. It meant nothing. I shook my head, refusing his apology. Even if Ethan died, it would never redeem what we lost. I would never forgive him. Soon, the police arrived. Isabella was pronounced dead on the spot. Ethan survived after being rescued, but he was left in a vegetative state, forever confined to a hospital bed. I never visited him, because in my world, Ethan no longer existed. My life had already started anew a long time ago.